I'm here with Wolfram Schmitt at the DIRK Annual Conference 2017. Wolfram is now working in the consulting area, but has been a towering figure in the history of DIRK and also investor relations in Germany over the years. So maybe John, to start by just giving us a brief history of your work in the IR world and helping to develop the IR profession in Germany.
I basically joined the IR profession in '97 and since '98 I was head of IR in Deutsche Bank, and shortly thereafter, I think after the internet bubble burst, so in 2001, 2002, I became president of DIRK, the German association, and we really did some very serious talks at that time because nobody was really interested in shares anymore and so on. And we said, should we close the shop or should we do it the right way? And we decided to do it the right way. We moved from a club into an association. We started our own office with full-time staff. We started the CIRO program, which is an educational program to become a certified investor relations officer, and so on and so forth. So all the bits and pieces we thought you need to become a real professional practice, like auditors or press spokesmen and so on and so forth. And since then I continued. These days I'm only an honorary president, which means, for example, one little baby is I help organizing this conference here.
Oh, very good. Must be very rewarding to see how it's all developed and into this big conference that we have every year. And speaking of this year's conference, what are some of the key themes, some of the key challenges the investor relations officers are talking about here this year?
One of the key themes is the dialogue of the capital market with the second tier of our boards, with the supervisory board. As you know, we have this special German phenomenon of a two-tier board system, and until recently, I should say, it was absolutely normal that only the executive board is doing the dialogue with investors, analysts, and let's say private shareholders. But we have seen now, or we are seeing now, more and more cases that investors are not happy with that. They want to do more, either being it that the executive board is not really responsive on their needs, on their demands, or, which is more the case, they really want to discuss corporate governance issues, which are beyond the field of the Vorstand, of the executive board, but which is in the responsibility of the supervisory board. So being it succession planning of the CEO, being it bonus payments, so the whole payments structure and so on and so forth. And this is very, very critical for active investor relations officers, because the question comes up how they should react to that, because they normally go along with the Vorstand but not along with the supervisory board members. Under German law it would be even illegal if they have a direct reporting line to the supervisory board. So we are discussing very practical facets and consequences of this, if you like, dilemma today at the conference.
And we were talking a bit before this conversation about some of the other areas that you're focusing on at the moment, and you mentioned that shareholders becoming more activist in general is something that you've been working with clients on. And it's not just maybe activism in terms of the funds out of the US that everybody knows about, but it's also happening on a micro level in Germany as well. Can you tell us a bit about how the sort of the activist nature of the German capital markets are changing?
Okay. We are seeing in the last 2 or 3 years also totally new names, Germany-based names. Very often these are boutiques, little companies formed by ex-investment bankers who were looking up for a business alternative after the last crisis, i.e. 2008, 9 and 10 and so, and then started a new business model. And definitely I would say in Germany, but also in our neighboring countries, there are enough targets, so to speak, enough companies which are either lacking a good corporate governance or which are too lazy, too complacent, so to speak, and are not really bringing the horsepower on the road. They could be much more profitable, or they are sitting on a pile of cash and not doing anything strategic with it. And then this is, of course, an open invitation for those groups who are coming in, and very often with small amounts of votes, so around 10%, 15%, starting quite some noise before the next AGM, asking, for example, for replacement of supervisory board members. That's a typical one, because that's the weapon which would, in a success case, would help you to replace the board member as well, and then eventually you can bring in proposals and then hopefully decisions like paying super dividends or changing the business model or what have you, or doing a spin-off. So basically everything which is unlocking value, which apparently the management in place has not on the radar screen. So it's nothing new. We have seen this before, as you mentioned, from US or UK-based activists, but it's let's say it's much more. It's becoming more and more normal in Germany. I can tell you, only last week we have seen 2 AGMs of smaller companies where the supervisory board head, the chairman, moved into the AGM as a chairman, and he came out and he has lost his job, and he was not prepared for it. And again, this was triggered by these smaller groups, but if you have a presence on an AGM of 40-50%, 50% of the votes makes a difference. And yes, that's my last observation, more and more of the classical long-only investors love this development because it's unlocking value, and without showing face, they are just voting in the same direction. And then very, very quickly you have majorities together, and everybody is stunned what the outcome is. That's basically what we see now.
Yes, they get the activists to do the dirty work for them, but then they still get to reap the rewards afterwards. So then another reason why investor relations people have to understand what those larger investors are thinking about. Wolfram, thank you so much for talking to us today. Really interesting, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Okay, thank you so much. My pleasure, and we always love to promote a little bit the German side of the IR practice. Thanks for that.